need clean air, clean water, and clean land to live. No one can live without those things. People act like they can. You know, they act like they can sell it, they can control these things, but, you know, there's no power greater than the power of our Mother Earth. These are not forced negotiations that we're looking at here. They are assertions of the terms that we can understand, our people can relate back.
This treaty, it's related to something called the Great Smoke. As people were approaching the treaty camps out on the plains, they could see the smoke from all of the negotiations that were going on because of the use of the pipes.
It's really powerful being here because you know, when we do this work trying to influence law and legislation and work through the power systems, you forget that the power from our terms, from meaningful engagement, is always on a spiritual basis.
They poison our water, our air, our Mother Earth, and we, as the stewards of Mother Earth, recognize we have a sacred duty to protect, to defend, to speak for and with our Mother Earth. Yes.
When Europeans arrived in North America in the 1500s, they claimed to have discovered a new world. The people they discovered living on this land referred to it as Mother Earth. Within the concept of referring to the land as your mother lies the fundamental difference between the two cultures.
There were several wells that tested with high levels of uranium.
Nuclear bombs, got to go! Radioactive pollution, kill!
We're here to address the nuclear terrorism that our communities face at the hands of the United States government for being negligent and completely irresponsible for the contamination of more than 15,000 abandoned uranium mines that are left in our communities. So we have to be out here. We don't have a choice.
Klee Benally is a Diné or Navajo from Black Mesa, Arizona. He is here in Washington, D.C., taking up the fight for his people. This fight is as old as the story of discovery.
This is one of 523 actual abandoned uranium mine sites on the Navajo Nation. There are over 2,000 abandoned uranium mines surrounding, you know, our res in our area, in the Four Corners area. But there's only a handful that have actually been slated for cleanup. And when I say cleanup, this is what we're looking at, is limited reclamation that still poses a threat to the communities.
Before the introduction of the highway, the railway system sparked widespread migration across the territory. Mines were opened and natural resources were moved in and out on these trains. After World War II, uranium became a hot commodity for nuclear power and weaponry, and the Diné lands were home to some of the world's largest uranium deposits. Much of the development was done with little concern for the people's way of life.
Concerned about is contamination to our water. So in my experience...
Leona Morgan is one of the co-founders of Diné No Nukes. She is an environmental activist and a dedicated advocate against uranium mining.
When we were fighting the issue, like, this river was really important because in 1979 there was a big spill, and what happened was the spill went from Church Rock and it came, you know, through this community.
Tons of solid radioactive mill waste and millions of gallons of radioactive tailing solution spilled into the Puerco River. Contaminants traveled downstream through the community of Sanders.
This is my well here. It's 100 foot deep, I never knew it was contaminated until Little Colorado River Watershed Association done testing on a number of wells in our community. All they told me verbally, they said, we're done with our testing here, don't drink that water. This one holds about 60,000 gallons.
Wayne Lynch is a farmer. He represents the Home and Private Landowners Association of Sanders. The water they need to survive has been contaminated.
There's a high rate of cancer in our community. My grandmother lived here before new lands way back. We didn't know, and we used to drink this water. My grandmother passed, my aunt lived over here. She passed away from cancer. And they say in the name of jobs, it creates jobs, yeah, for a short term, and then they're gone. And we're back in the same, situation of polluted land, and people have to get moved away from their homes. We've always been moved around, pushed around, and now we're settled on our homeland here. This has always been Indian country, Navajo.
In 1864, the U.S. Army relocated bands of Diné from their traditional sacred lands in Arizona to Fort Sumner. Generations were relocated many times to allow corporations to gain access to resources like coal, oil, and uranium.
Uranium mining doesn't just impact our health, and contaminate our water, but it also destroys our culture. We're looking at the next 7 generations. When the half-life of uranium is, one of them is, 4.6 billion years, and then we have all this waste. What does that mean for our future?
What the Diné and their territory have been through is a combination of dangerous exploitation and willful neglect by corporations.
Our people aren't being, killed outright by settlers today, but the structural violence, the violence that is underneath everything in these structures of oppression through capitalism, through racism, white supremacy, through heteropatriarchy, these sort of academic terms that we recognize just mean white male violence for the benefit of a dominant society so they can maintain, their power over Earth, over the people of the Earth, to continue to benefit that machinery. That kind of relationship is a relationship that is anti-life. It's against life. And so part of it is that responsibility to recognize that it's not just a physical war, but it's a spiritual war. We're not just activists or angry native folks, we're healers. Hatathli, which is the term we use for traditional medicine practitioners, simply means singer.
Arole no kada hot benashidenestra arosundat nagadat hat ishi benasailte kodo hot ego shiaho. My mother, my father, they were medicine men.
It's all official.
I raised up in traditional way.
The basic necessities of life are land, water, and clean air. The future of these basic needs are in jeopardy for the Diné. Klee's father is Jones Benally, a source of Diné wisdom.
Where are we going to live if we destroy the earth? That's what we're concerned about. That's what my son work on. We need the good life for our grandchildren, not only one day for money. That's what destroying everything.
It's a little slow. Okay.
We're not worried about the money. We're about our life.
Through our ceremonies, through the songs, through our knowledge of the medicine. That's how we carry these prayers forwards, the knowledge of a lifetime or our ancestors, and the knowledge that is the knowledge that will carry us forward to the future generations.
Healing for Klee starts on the streets of Flagstaff, where he comes to the aid of his fellow relatives in times of need.
Right now it was like sort of short notice warning that there was a weather alert for about a foot of snow to drop overnight, which is really quick. So we decided to come out with some blankets and cold weather gear to distribute for our relatives on the street. We've had many people here in this city who have passed on because of exposure. And so the least we can do is just provide something as a buffer between the elements so they can, we don't lose any more of our relatives.
What was once their homeland has now become a land without a home for a disproportionate number of Diné.
You think there's so many indigenous people in the street here? What's the cause of that? Where's that coming from?
Probably from their addiction and loneliness, man. Their addictions, on them putting themselves in that situation, on doubting themselves that their family should help. And the Navajo people tend to lean on that. Once you're an adult and once you're full grown, you got to get out of the parents' house and you got to do everything real hard. And there's no more holding hands no more now,
But we also have kept, the family clan and kinship.
Yeah, that's right.
You think that would be the factor that brings people?
That would be, because I remember when I was a teen, there used to be family reunions, like Kiani reunions. Nobody knew each other, It was just because the clan that we're related, we're so much united. And that right there is kind of lost,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Move your butt if you ever built something for somebody.
Move your butt if you've ever been on TV.
Move your butt if you ever gave your jacket to someone.
Oh, wow.
This group of high school students were looking for volunteer opportunities and reached out to Klee.
Move your butt if you want to learn more about your culture and help people in your community.
Through his guidance, these youth are working to rebuild a sense of community.
I'm white man, tangled, red bottom, and...
You could see going around, some of the kids and the young folks didn't know their clans.
I'm Heather, my clans are
And it was a stop there, and some of them did, and we established that kinship. So that's really why we say it's not just homeless people, but it's our relatives on the street, because chances are we are related to them, even if it's not directly, and it establishes that that connection beyond just dehumanization. So for me, that's the power of Ke. It's the power of our family, the power of our relationships. How many people in Flagstaff are homeless? What percentage is Native American? How many people in the United States are homeless? And indigenous people should never be homeless because the earth is our home. We have our culture and our familial ties in our communities. That is broken, and our relative that we hung out with who's on the street said it very clearly, That's not just something that can easily be fixed, but it's a long process of healing. And to be part of that bridge and connection, can, I think, be very powerful. So that's the hope, but it's up to the young folks. And nobody's going to force them to do it. They have to own that.
One step at a time, Klee uses every opportunity to help the young generation to regain power over their own sovereignty. At the Heard Museum in Phoenix, Klee is part of a project called Confluence.
Awesome.
A project that pairs established and emerging indigenous artists. Together, they collaborate on an exhibition. Klee has been paired with Shandin Yazi. They created a digital multimedia project about cultural appropriation.
New from Misappropriation comes Princess Redskin. She's all yours to play with. turn this Indian savage into someone civilized.
I don't know, I want them to be shocked that this is how we feel sometimes. I feel like this little doll in this case, just, you know, being there to be marveled at. I want them to see that.
Walking in the footsteps of Klee, Shandine's art is calling for action, addressing an issue that affects her generation.
The stereotype that I'm trying to challenge actually goes in with one of the other parts of our exhibit, which is the petition to stop the racist costume. During, you know, the Halloween times, we see all of these people dressing up as Pocahontas or the Native American princess. And I want that stopped because it hurts me. This is what I wear. This is me.
You know, when we talk about autonomy or sovereignty, you know, what it means to be able to self-govern ourselves as indigenous people. This is that power that's represented here that is completely disgraced, disrespected, to the point where young people have to struggle even with that respect for themselves. You know, they young people killing themselves, hurting themselves, taking drugs, looking away from their culture, being ashamed of it. Well, here's a reflecting point, a connecting point, where they can come back and use those tools that we have so they can have that much more support for the ongoing fight that they inherited from us. So to me, that's the connecting point. It's their sovereignty, their autonomy, their ability to use their voice, and their ability to then use that to be able to organize and reach other people and to continue that fight.
As a community organizer, artist, and social activist, Klee's actions are dedicated to protecting Mother Earth and her connection with the Diné.
This is not a game. This is not for show. This isn't for the media. This is to stop this desecration from happening. What's at stake is our prayers, our ways of life, our cultural survival. This is why this has to stop.
The San Francisco Peaks was a battle that encompassed much of this work. He tried to stop the development of a ski resort that recycles treated sewage water to make artificial snow, a great offense to the Diné people.
This is one of our 6 holy mountains that represent the pillars of our universe. It represents our maturity, our self-governance, our adulthood in the life cycle.
Like many of his ancestors, Klee returns here to find guidance to turn his words into actions.
So this is a sign that they have. It makes it look all pretty. It doesn't say do not eat, but the animals don't have a choice. You know, we rely on water, it's sacred, but we're so disconnected that they'll spray 180 million gallons of treated sewage just so they can play in it here. It's our teaching that we can't come on this mountain without a purpose. And the purpose has been for me to defend the covenant that we have. It's like a treaty with nature, to uphold our stewardship, our part of the agreement to be caretakers of our Mother Earth. And everything that you see happening right here is in violation of that, to that treaty. Not just to these treaties made with colonial entities, but a treaty that we have that is one of existence.
500 years on, the two visions of the Earth are still in conflict. Treaties on indigenous terms enable us to sustain our connection with the land, in harmony with the cycles of nature. With our sovereignty and autonomy comes the responsibility to uphold and protect the sacred spiritual bond between humans and all creation. This is a treaty that was made between our ancestors and Mother Earth a long time ago, and still relevant today.
Indigenous simply means of the earth. That means we have a relationship. The earth is not just about knowing the earth, knowing where the plants are, knowing what the prayers are, knowing what the names of the mountains or sacred places are. It's about the earth knowing us as well. Our feet are right here on the ground. Our umbilical cords as Diné people are buried in where we come from, in the earth. That's a direct physical connection that we carry from our birth into this world. There are indigenous nations just to the east of here, to the far west of here as well, that don't exist anymore.
Protect sacred sites! Defend human rights!
You know, we can't let that happen to any more of our brothers and sisters. And so if we care about that, which we should because it's intertwined with the fate of our Mother Earth, then we have to take action. We have to fight back. But where we're going is it's a fight. That's it. If we want to survive, it's a fight. It's a struggle.